Hey, good morning, everybody. Welcome to Invisible Condition. It's not all in your head. I'm your host, Jeff Pearson, and we want everybody with an invisible condition know beyond the shadow of a doubt that you do have a voice, you have a community, and you are never, ever alone. Now, here on Invisible Condition, we get it, man. Some days are better than others. I'll just say it like that. Some days can be really rough, and then some days can just be awesome, right? But on those tough days, that can be really hard. But I also want you to remember there is always, always hope. Please remember that. And if you have lost your hope or you are having trouble with that today, I want to help you. I am always up for helping people that lose their hope because it's a big deal. Please shoot me an email right there. If you are feeling a little hopeless today, I want to help you. Just put hope in the subject line. Tell me a way to, we'll talk, right? And then also, if you are watching and you are watching on any of these platforms here, same thing. Just comment, just say hope, or or whatever you want to put in there. I want to help. So all right, guys, here's the deal. We have a very cool show today, and so today's guest, his name is Jason Tremko, and he's a 20-year U.S. Army veteran, former recruiting station commander, educator, author, documentary filmmaker, all-around awesome guy. After decades of mentoring young people, Jason has turned his focus to a growing and often misunderstood issue in society: how today's high-potency cannabis is impacting youth, mental health, and recovery. So, as the creator of The Green Glitch, What's Behind the Devil's Lettuce, and a current high school educator, Jason brings real-world insight from the front lines of what families and communities are going through and facing right now. That's why we're doing this show today, because it's going on right now. This isn't something 20 years ago. This is right now. So we're going to talk about it. And before I bring Jason on, next person you'll see on the screen will be me and Jason. I'm going to play the trailer for that documentary. And then we will have him on and we will kick this off. Here we go.
If this isn't the marijuana of the 60s and 70s, then why are we still treating it like it is?
This isn't the marijuana you remember. For decades, marijuana carried a reputation. Natural, harmless, even peaceful. But somewhere along the way, it changed. Stronger, faster, engineered. What if what we're calling marijuana today isn't marijuana at all? In the 1960s and 70s, marijuana averaged between 1 and 3% THC. Today, concentrates and cartridges can reach 90%. This isn't evolution, it's engineering.
People think it's going to be a solution when it's going to be the problem. And a lot of people will never realize that it's the problem.
I was in 7th grade when somebody offered me a vape.
70% of the population encourages the legalization of marijuana. Why would kids have anything to worry about?
If you were like me, I didn't like doing anything other than marijuana. All I wanted to do, like, my parents would go do something fun, they would go get breakfast, and I wanted to stay home so I could hide in my room and smoke. Like, that's what I wanted to do.
26.6 million applications, 1.2 million reviewed, 30 approved. And that's not a system saying everything is fine. That's a system quietly telling us something is very wrong. In reality, the signs of cannabis addiction are all around us. They're not hidden in dark alleys or dramatic breakdowns. They're woven into everyday conversations, routines, and excuses. All we have to do is slow down, listen, and ask the right questions.
If 70% of people in the United States considered this reality, we might actually be able to stop a child from becoming addicted to marijuana.
All right, everybody. First thing I want to do is introduce you to Jason Tremko. Thank you so much for being here, Jason. This is
yes, sir. Yeah, thank you for having me.
Thank you. Yeah, man. And the second thing I want to say is, I should have said this before, But thank you, everybody. This is actually our last episode of season 6. We have completed 6 seasons on this show.
Awesome.
So thank you for being here, everybody. Thank you for helping our audience to grow month over month over month for almost 3 years. We've been doing this, and we're finishing up. This is our last episode of season 6. Don't worry, we're not finishing the show. I should have said that different. We're good. Season 1 or season 7, episode 1. We'll see you next time. But thank you for 6 amazing seasons, and we're just getting started, baby. So I'm going to put your stuff up here now. Jason, appreciate it, man. This is awesome.
Yes, sir. Glad to be here.
Yeah. So I know this is a big deal. People that are watching, everybody's heard of this. Everybody's on board with this. Everybody's aware of what's going on. So if you guys that are watching, if you ever have a question, throw it in Facebook, throw it in YouTube, whatever. Put it in there, and we can get that answered for you. Or if you want to talk to Jason, or if you want to, anything, learn more, that's the perfect place to do it.
Absolutely.
And then, and what are you doing? This is your handle on all these platforms. What are you doing on TikTok and all the different social media right now?
Yeah. So right now, my book, The Green Glitch, is actually coming out of publication right now with Christian Faith Publishing, and they're in the print process right now. So I'm waiting on them to send me the final copy, and then once I give them a thumbs up, it'll be ready to go out in distribution. So part of that is also they're going to make me a website. So I don't have a website made yet, but what I'm doing is working with social media. So YouTube, Facebook, TikTok. Look up JT Books, and you'll see the Green Glitch logo in there, and you'll know that's the right channel. I don't think there's too many JT Books on there.
Probably not.
Yeah, but you'll see my stuff, and we're giving an Xbox away here in about 2 months on YouTube as well. So
nice. Okay. Well, there you go. That's as if if you need incentive to get on there, it's just go on there and win you one of those. That'd be fun.
There you go.
So yeah. So where did this all come from, man? Because like in the videos, like I said, like I've always thought, oh, pot, man, it's just marijuana. It's harmless, man. People like I've worked in my previous life. I worked in security a lot, and we would work shows and stuff. And there was some in particular that were like, this is going to be the most chill event ever because it's just a bunch of people smoking pot. Like, it's just everybody's in my perception anyway. I can't speak for everybody, but it seems so chill. Like, why, how has it changed? What's going on?
Yeah. So, the first thing I want to say is definitely, I'm not here to demonize anybody. I don't want people to feel bad or anything. That's not my mission. My mission is to raise awareness, which is why I call it the Green Glitch, because there is a difference between, the marijuana of the 60s and 70s compared to what it is now. And, a lot of people, when you hear them say, it's just marijuana, everybody smoked it, it's been around forever. I turned out fine.
Yeah.
I met a guy the other day, he kind of said that. He's like, I've been smoking marijuana every day for 37 years. And I was like, okay. I said, but let me ask you a question. I said, are you smoking synthetic marijuana? Are you smoking the modern forms of marijuana? All right. Because, the 60s, 70s, 80s, and even into the early 90s, modern marijuana at that time was only at about 1 to 3% THC strength. So a lot of people say it wasn't addictive because maybe back then it wasn't addictive. But the modern formats of marijuana are sitting at anywhere between 30 to 90% strength THC. And the part that concerns me the most is that it's affecting a lot of young people, a lot of kids, which is really what kind of got me interested in it in the first place, which is why I started studying it, which I'm sure, we'll get into that in a little bit here.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, no, well, as a teacher, right? I mean, you're an educator, right? So you're seeing kids affected by this, right? It's like, I remember when we had our first conversation, you were talking about that. And it's like kids come in and they're feeling sick and they don't want to eat and they're, and it's like, what's going on? And you knew what was going on, but most people would not have a clue that was the cause, right? Like,
yeah. So, I was a military recruiter, as you mentioned. I retired from the military in 2021. I've been teaching high school ever since. But I spent almost 9 years as a recruiting station commander. And I got very interested in marijuana from that experience because, I worked in 3 different parts of the country. I was in Northern California back in 2005 to 2008. Everybody was smoking back then. But the difference was the marijuana back then would only stay in your system for about 30 days, and it was easier for people to quit. We had a better turnaround rate, for people being able to clean up. It was less addictive. Well, I went back to the line, got deployed, went back to my primary job. But then in 2013, decided to go back into recruiting as a station commander. And just from that little bit of time change, just that few years, I saw a major difference. So where, the stuff now that kids are smoking, it's staying in their system for anywhere to 3 or 4 months. And it's way more addictive, so that's what concerned me is that, a kid who really needs to join the military because they can't get into college, parents are talking about kicking them out of the house. They're just not motivated, and they really need to do something, but they're not willing to give up that marijuana. They would rather keep smoking marijuana, than to face that addiction head on and overcome it. And that's, what got me interested. And, my own daughter ended up getting addicted to high potency marijuana. She turned out good now, she's 20 years old. But it was honestly the hardest thing that she ever had to do was overcome that addiction. She ended up losing about 50 pounds in about 6 months. Actually a little bit less than 6 months, all from, what is called cannabinoid hyperemesis syndrome, or CHS for short. So that, it's a medical condition. So it kind of makes people, feel like they can't eat. So if they don't have marijuana in their system, then they don't feel like eating. Okay. So that's what we learned with her. I didn't know anything about it at the time. And she ended up just getting super sick, and losing a lot of weight every time she would try to quit, because she really wanted to quit. And then when she couldn't quit, she would just go back to the marijuana to be able to eat, so it was like a revolving door of just issues for her. And a lot of people don't realize this kind of stuff is happening. One of the young lady that was talking on there, she's 20 years old, and that is my daughter. So I actually interviewed her for the trailer and the film years, so she's going to share her story as well.
It's amazing.
Yes, sir.
That's amazing. I remember hearing, over the last couple of years, maybe it's been a few years longer than that, but especially over the last 3 or 4, where police forces are now being forced to create whole new protocols and entirely new procedures and stuff because people are getting pulled over, and it's almost as bad as under the influence of alcohol. And they're getting these guys and girls getting pulled over. Yeah. And they had to develop a whole new thing just to address all that and figure out what to look for and how to, I didn't think it ever got that bad. I was thinking because back in the day, like you said, early 2000s, 90s, 80s, it didn't do that. Yeah. So it's not just a problem. It's not just a problem with the people with just your personal life. It's affecting everything. I mean,
and in regards to, like I said, the driving, how many times do you go out and you smell it all around you when you're in a car?
Constantly.
Constantly, and most people, they're not thinking about it being a big deal. All right. And like you said, law enforcement, I actually wrote a chapter about this in my book. It's all dedicated to vehicles and driving and things. There was a 17-year-old boy. I can't remember his name. I probably should have wrote that down, but it's in my book. But he was 17 years old, and he wrecked his car in Texas and actually killed, I think it was 4 people.
Oh, no.
And the jury found him guilty of driving under the influence of high potency marijuana. And what they're starting to come up with is, like I said, new systems, because they can detect the marijuana in somebody's system, and we have evidence now to show that it is affecting their response time and their driving, even though nobody wants to admit it. So we're seeing that proof, and the problem is it doesn't hold up in court until recently because marijuana stays in your system for so long, 3 or 4 months. So there's no way to tell when they took it. But now they're developing that new technology. So I believe that we're going to start seeing some changes on the road when it comes to that and people that are using, because a lot of these edibles and stuff, I talked about it in the book. There's a stat, it's pretty high, that shows how many people, like what percentage of people are smoking or taking edibles before they get behind the wheel, and that would
Lord.
actually make you pretty nervous. So, yep.
I probably don't want to know. Yeah.
Yeah. It's a real thing. I mean, response
Wow.
time, and my whole thing with my book is that I don't want people to think it's okay to accept risk, even with the traditional marijuana, I'd be careful, because I'll tell people I don't stress the stuff that you can smell as much as the stuff that you can't smell, like the modern forms of marijuana. But I don't like any of it, because the statistics are showing that any kind of marijuana usage is leading to 45% of users turning to harder drugs, so, my thing is, even if you love marijuana, you don't think there's anything wrong with it. It's not about us. It's not about us. It's about our kids. It's about the people who are turning to harder drugs. 45%, almost half, so is that really a risk that we want to see given to our kids?
Right.
I don't like taking risks with my kids, so, that's the mission that I have with my book, because 70% of people in the United States are actually for legalizing marijuana.
Sure.
It's a large portion, but they also don't know the stats that I'm talking about. Most of the people that I've met, I really don't get a whole lot of pushback, because, I tell people do their own research, because I'm not a doctor. I'm not a scientist. I'm just a regular old guy who pays attention to detail, and to me, that adds even more credibility, because if I can find the information, then anybody who's listening to this podcast should be able to find the information. And it's really just right in front of our faces. Honestly, it's very easy to find the information. So,
I mean, it is now. Yeah. I mean, people, it's so prevalent now. I mean, like you said, I'm in Colorado. It was the second state to legalize it. Right. So once we legalized it, man, and I'm in Colorado Springs, and I tell you, I don't know about Denver or any bigger cities, but for us here in Colorado Springs, it was like, you could throw a rock in any direction, anywhere in town, and hit 3 pot shops,
Yep.
And it didn't even occur to me to think that maybe they're doing this type of high potency stuff, I think that's the biggest thing, is how do you educate that's a lot of education you got ahead of you here.
Yeah. The thing with the vape shops and stuff, and the smoke shops, the dispensaries, I live close to Cherokee, North Carolina. So we got the first legal recreational marijuana dispensary here in the state of North Carolina on the Cherokee reservation. And, they originally started as a medical marijuana. And then within just a few months, it ended up switching over to a recreational. On their first day of business, they had 4,000 people there for recreational. Over 4,000 people, and they're projected to make almost $1 billion within 5 years. So the industry is huge, and what's the thing I want people to think about is, I would much rather somebody, if they just have to smoke weed, I would much rather them go to a dispensary and get a authentic form of weed, that's maybe 3%, maybe 20%. But the problem is kids can't do that. Right. Kids can't do that. The kind that they're getting, and this stat will blow your mind. All right. Right now, and I put in my book all the references, resources, everything that you need to validate what I'm saying. Right now, they're saying, and this came from the FDA, that 54% of vape cartridges that are on the market, and a vape cart is what they use to put the oils in for cannabis. It's the same as like a vape. They're saying that 54% of those on the market right now are illegal, are illicit. Over half. And that report is actually taking it easy. All right. Because some reports are actually saying up to 92% is illicit on the market.
So my question is, why hasn't this been, and I know, like, I am the last person, as anybody I know, I'm the last person that's going to say, what we need to do? We need to get the government involved. But I mean, cause really, personally, not really, but are they going to regulating it? Seems like it would be a good idea, or doing something to kind of, I don't know. I mean, they did that in other industries like alcohol and tobacco and all that kind of stuff. And it seems to be helpful. Is that on the horizon at all for marijuana? So, we just not got there yet.
I think we're starting to see the evidence. I'm seeing reports. The most recent reports I've been seeing are that, people will say marijuana helps with their anxiety or depression,
Sure.
things like that. But now science, after, because people think that you can just get an instant science report. That's not the case, right?
No.
Most of these reports, are case studies that take years and years and years.
Yeah.
So we're just now starting to see this data come in, and they're starting to see that they cannot prove that marijuana helps with anxiety or depression or any of those things, but they also cannot prove that it doesn't. Right. So my thing is, let's focus on what we can prove, right? And
Yeah.
that's the data that I focus on. One of those stats is that 45 to 60% of parents do not know that their kids are smoking marijuana. Almost 60%.
At all?
Yeah,
Like they just don't know.
They don't know. And I was one of them, right? That's another, because my daughter, she started smoking at about 13 years old.
Wow.
And we didn't know she was smoking until she was about 17 years old.
So wait. So I can't. So we just talked about the smell, right? Like you can't. Like, by the way, I can't. It almost gives me an instant headache. You walk by somebody that smells like I can't stand the smell.
Yeah.
I don't care what smell they've covered it up with. I can't smell it. It's just ugh. But
Yeah.
you can smell. Like, are you saying that the higher potency stuff, it's so high potency that it doesn't have a smell, or is that?
Well, no, it has a smell, but there's different ways that they make it. So with like shatter and dabs. It's a vapor, so basically they're taking the flower, but they're taking all the plant out of it and they're just collecting the oils and then they're making it into a vapor. So
yeah,
these kids now, because a lot of people try to say that smoking marijuana is safer than smoking cigarettes. But if you look at, a lot of people say that, but if you look at the facts here, let me pull up my notes because I can't remember everything here. But
is it safer because it's less addictive? Is it theoretically safer because
it's actually more addictive? So, because the higher the THC, the more addictive it is. But actually cannabis contains about 50% more benzopyrene, which is a polycyclic aromatic hydrocarbon. It's called a PAH. So that's basically a carcinogen, and it contains about 50% more than a cigarette does, than tobacco.
So is that what turns your blood? Like, I've always like black lung, right? That you always see those cancer,
correct? Yeah, it's a carcinogen,
right? And from the nicotine. I always thought it was like the nicotine and the tobacco and all that stuff, but you're talking about something else that could do worse.
Yeah, these are different components. So marijuana smoke also has about 75% more benzanthracene, I think is how you say it.
There it is.
Than cigarettes have, and basically that chemical is what you're going to find in coal, in tar, in exhaust, from a car exhaust. So these are things that people are breathing in. Now, what's scary about it is the kids, because they've covered the smell. It almost smells good, like blueberry or, that stuff. So what's happening is at school, they're hitting it in the bathroom, but they're breathing it in deeper than a regular smoker with cigarettes would breathe it in. And they're holding it in because it makes less smoke. So, not only are they getting higher carcinogens, but they're also breathing it in deeper, so it's I had 2 students that had to get their lungs pumped in the last 2 years at the hospital because of the oils that are building up inside their lungs. So,
oh my gosh.
Yep.
I mean, because I remember when I was 18, 19 years old, I played around with cigarette. I smoked cigarettes for a few months or whatever. It was like just to be cool and whatever. And that was the last time I ever did. That was 30 years ago, whatever. But I remember doing that, but it was like, you got that little buzz, and you're not addicted to it, but I was thinking, well, okay, so that was 30 years ago. So theoretically, the stuff that was in those cigarettes that I breathed in is probably not there anymore. Like, it's probably cycled its way out after 30 years, But if there's extra stuff in this stuff, if there's extra chemicals, more potency and more, it's more concentrated, like it's almost like everybody was talking about vape being the enemy, right? Because it like does different things to your lungs than like just cigarette smoke. But am I off on that too? Like what?
No, and that's the thing, it's just a lot of misconception, because people, they hear something, how information spreads these days, and it's not true. It's a lot of misinformation, or they're just not looking at the whole side of the story, so in regards to the government, like you were saying, I think that they just don't know, I mean, a lot of these people don't know. And actually with my film, I'm applying to a lot of film festivals.
Yeah.
And I actually got one getting judged today, which is really cool. But one of the
Nice.
ones I applied to is the Whistleblower film festivals in Washington,
cool.
D.C. You know, so if I get to go there, I actually get to talk to, Congress people and senators, whoever comes down there. I get to tell them about my book and my film. And then I guess they play the film for them, which is really cool. So I'm hoping to get into that one so I can kind of spread this information. And, I encourage people that read my book to get a copy for your congressman, your city mayor, because like you said, I'm a business owner as well. And, I've seen businesses get told that they can't set up a location, but yet, like you said, they'll bring vape shops in, smoke shops in like crazy,
Oh yeah. In droves. Yeah. I mean, like you said, you could in Colorado Springs and probably other cities around but I live here. So this is what I noticed, but yeah, literally there's intersections in this town, like main intersections in this town where there's a vape shop or a pot shop or something on every single corner.
Yep.
It's just insane.
Yeah. And medical marijuana, everybody talks about, so I've had a lot of confirmation, and I'm not saying it doesn't help people. Okay. But
sure.
What I want to tell people is I've done my research regarding antidepressants. Mainly I want to talk about, because, if you just read the warning labels on any antidepressant drug, it can cause suicidal thoughts.
Yep.
Right. So, if I'm taking an antidepressant and then I'm smoking high potency marijuana on top of it, what is that going to cause in my mental status? And then we wonder, why the veteran community is the highest suicide rate out there. You got a veteran struggling with PTSD, so let's give them, high doses of antidepressants. Let's go get them a medical marijuana card. It's just a bad combination. I just don't understand that logic. And
exactly.
Even with my own daughter, I learned the hard way because she was having anxiety. This was before I knew she was smoking, and she was a heavy smoker. Like she had to wake up in the middle of the night and smoke just to be able to feel good in the morning when she woke up, to be able to eat.
Oh, wow.
And so she was struggling with anxiety and things. So we took her to the doctor like any good parent would do, get her on an anxiety medication. Little did I know that I was making her conditions even worse because she was smoking high potency marijuana constantly on top of an antidepressant. Right. So it's very interesting to me that a lot of parents don't know that, and again, 60% of parents don't know their kids are smoking.
Yeah.
So you can see how that's starting to become an issue. And I see it all the time in the schools. Actually, one of the kids on the video that you played, the young man that was talking said, he actually is one of my students who came to me about 6 months ago, and he was smoking marijuana since he was 11 years old. He tells his story on the whole film, but because of a family situation, and he made poor grades all through school until he came and saw me. He's been clean for 5 months now, and he's not smoking at all. And he came to me and said, "Can I please be on the documentary because people need to hear the truth behind this?" So I think that's really cool that even kids are coming out and talking about it.
I mean, if kids are realizing it and feeling it, that's a big deal. And if you've got testimonials on there from, God bless you, man, that's amazing.
Yeah, I got a whole chapter in my book, with nothing but testimonials from people. So,
that's
gonna be pretty
beautiful.
Cool. Yep.
That is fantastic, man. Well, I tell you what, I want to continue this conversation. I do need to just recognize my sponsors for just a second. So I'm gonna do that for 1 second. I'll come back to you in just a minute. Thank you so much for being here, though, Jason. This has been amazing. I can't wait to keep going. We'll see you in just a minute.
Yes, sir.
All right. So here we go, guys. I definitely want to this will be quick, I promise, because I definitely want to get back to this conversation because it's important and it's awesome. And so here's the thing, though. I know that people that have been watching, you've seen this before, but I cannot stress this enough. Like, especially with people with invisible conditions, especially with me, with my story, with my condition I've been with since I was born, and 7 brain surgeries in and all this stuff. Like, me, guys, I am never the guy that's going to rush to the medical model if I don't have to. I'm always looking for natural ways to support my health. Simple and natural. That's my game. And so I found a place called Healthy Home. Scan that QR code. You can go to their website, check them out, or call the number and somebody, a very nice young woman, will pick up the phone. She can answer your questions. This stuff that they produce is amazing, and it is something that basically helps support your body's ability to do what it already knows how to do, to combat things that are going on that's wrong in your body, right? So it can repair, it'll balance hormones, it can help you improve circulation, even help you improve your skin, your joints, all the things. If you ever want to learn more about that, there's an episode. I've got to get the episode number, and I'll tell you next episode, maybe with the episode number. But Giselle is the woman's name that introduced me to this, and her husband, man, he's got the story of all stories for testimonials. So, and so of course I started digging into it a little bit, and man, has it got some validity, and it's nothing crazy, just something that supports your body doing what it already knows how to do. So if you're even just a little curious, scan that QR code and check it out, or make the phone call and ask some questions. And then also the last thing I wanted to put up here is, yes, I got it right. Pushing the right buttons today. Hydro with Hope is our nonprofit. If you know anybody that lives with a condition called hydrocephalus, please scan the QR code, donate today. That's a direct donation link to Zephy. And you can donate one time, you can donate monthly. I don't care. I'm just thankful for the donation. It's fantastic. We appreciate you. It helps me to be able to get this journal into the hands of families that need it. This is a fill-in-the-blank journal that walks people through that whole experience of, holy crap, we have to have brain surgery again. What do we do now? That's what the journal's for. That's what I can get in people's hands when I have funding. So please help me out there. And all right. Thank you very much. All right. I am going to bring Jason back on, and we can continue the conversation. All right, guys. And I know we played a video at the beginning with the trailer for this. So if you didn't see it, go back to the beginning of the episode when it's over, and go back to Facebook or YouTube and rewind it and check it out, because it's a very powerful trailer. So and then and if you want to tell people what's going on here too, again, since in case people are joining us right now.
Yeah, definitely, follow me on JT Books. If you use TikTok, you just type in JT Books, Facebook, type in JT Books, or YouTube, type in JT Books, and you'll see I got tons of green glitch stuff on there. I got tons of videos, that I've made, that got little information pieces and things here and there. And I would love for you guys to follow me and share, because that's the only way that I have to communicate with y'all right now until my publishing company creates my website. And, I love social media anyway, because I think it's a great way to get the word out there and share the glitch. And, also follow me so that way you can know when the book comes out and the film comes out, because I would love to get y'all's support on that as well.
Perfect. Yes. And correct me if I'm wrong. So forgive me if I say this wrong. Don't hate me, guys. But you were in touch with E360 even about getting this documentary out there.
Yes, sir. Yeah, he actually emailed me right before I got on with you. So it's looking like within the next week or two, it'll be shown on E360 TV. So yeah,
love it. Okay, so there you go. So that's perfect. So you'll be able to find the documentary on E360 TV too, and of course probably other places. I mean, we're not the only place you're getting it out there on, but I'm so excited that you and Aaron were able to do that. So
yeah, thank you for putting us together.
Absolutely, congratulations on it, man. That's a big deal. That's going to get in front of so many people. I love that. So yeah, my pleasure, my honor to get you in touch with them. So if we know a family that's struggling with this, somebody's like, God, something's going on. I can't figure it out. What is wrong with my kid? Why are they feeling like this in the morning? Like, it's just, my kid was fine. And then a month later, now is doing like this crazy behavior. Like, what's the first step when somebody starts noticing something's off?
That's a very good question. I would say the first step is trust your gut, because if I would have done that, I might have been able to help my daughter a lot earlier than what I did, and anyone who says marijuana is not addictive has probably never had a kid who was addicted to modern high potency marijuana. And even the kids that I've interviewed would would vouch for what I'm saying.
Mhm. Yeah.
You know, and what we started noticing with our daughter is that she would puke every morning.
Ugh.
I'd be driving her to school. She would be sick. And I'd be like, did you eat? You know, because I'm an Army guy. So I'm thinking, did you hydrate? Did you eat? Right. Those
Yeah.
are the two things I'm going
Yeah.
to. And, you know, she'd be like, no. And I'd be like, why? And she's like, I feel sick if I eat. Right. But she wasn't telling me I'm smoking marijuana. Right. Because she didn't want to get in trouble, you know. So,
Sure.
you know, once I started learning all this, then I went into, well, why can't you just quit? You know, you're grounded, right? You know, you know, because
Yeah.
I would find a vaping cart, you know, a high potency product. I would find weed wax that was 90% THC strength. And then, you know, I would take it, I would throw it away, you know, and I would ground her, right, or something along those lines. And then the next morning, I would find literally two more. And I'd be like, where in the world is this coming from? You know, where are you getting this stuff from?
They're multiplying. Yeah.
Yeah, you know, so I started seeing these symptoms with kids that were sick in the morning. Okay. And I've noticed there's more girls than guys. It affects the guys differently from what I've seen.
Okay.
But the girls, you know, they would kind of all have the same symptom. You know, they'd come to my class in the morning and they would be nauseous. Can I go to the bathroom? I don't, my stomach's upset. Right. So then they'd come back and be like, oh, you know, I was throwing up. So, you know, I would pick up on these symptoms, and instead of just doing what most teachers would do and write them up, right, I would sit down and have a conversation and say, you know, are you smoking marijuana? Right. Just be honest with me. You know, you're not in trouble. I just want to know. And most of the time you have that conversation, they're just going to come out and say yes, you know, but I wanted them to know they're not going to get in trouble. I wanted to actually help them, you know. So then I would ask them, I would say, okay, well, what is the situation with it? You know, do you enjoy smoking or do you want to stop smoking? Which one is it? You know, and most of the time they want to stop smoking. Most of the time they start. I mean, I've never really met there's a few smokers out there that love smoking. They just want to keep doing it, but everybody knows a smoker trying to quit. Right.
Yeah.
So, you know, but I would talk to these kids and I would find out why they couldn't quit, you know, because they're smoking high potency products and they were smoking a lot of it, you know. So when they tried to quit, they would get extremely sick, just like my daughter did, you know. I mean, she battled for a good year trying to get clean. And I mean, she would go right back to it again. And you'll see when you watch the full film, she shares kind of her whole story. She didn't want to go do stuff with her family. You know, she says it. She'd rather stay in her room and smoke, kind of like we saw in the trailer. You know, we noticed things like that. We would go on a vacation, you know, down to Destin, Florida or something. You know, we're like, hey, we're going to go out and go to the beach. And she's like, I just want to stay, you know, I want to stay here at the hotel. You know, eventually we knew what it was. Like she's trying to smoke.
Sure.
You know?
Yeah.
You know, so if it seems wrong, it probably is. There's probably a reason, you know, and I would tell you, check everything. You know, if it's your daughters, they're probably hiding stuff inside their bra. A lot of girls do that, you know. If it's the guys, they're hiding the stuff. I would see students hiding it in the soap dispensers at the school, in the ceiling tiles. I mean, this stuff they're hiding it everywhere in their cars, under the seats. I would just find it everywhere, you know. So, you know, just look, talk to them, build that trust. And I would encourage, you know, to get the information out to your schools, you know, because like I said, a lot of times they just want to punish them. You know, I know some schools, it's actually like a felony charge if they get caught with cannabis. You know, so the kids are so scared to talk about it because they don't want to get in trouble. And if we could get them to start talking, we may be able to get more people help before it becomes an addiction. And like we said, almost half of people are ended up going to harder drugs. And, you know, one of the kids at my school told me when I started talking about this, it really hit home because he was with his friends and they were smoking weed. And then somebody brought some cocaine out and he came very, very close to using cocaine. And that's when he was like, you know what? I remember what Jason said. This is where I am now, you know, and I do not want to go down that path, you know, so just open conversations, learning to listen. First of all, realizing it's a problem, right? People don't want to admit that, you know, and we're not helping our kids here, you know?
No, denying it is never the answer. That's true. So the next step then, okay, now we know what to look for. So, okay, now we've got it. Now we know that they're doing it. Now they want it. Now I'm guessing you got a lot of, you just said you had a lot of kids that say, no, I want to quit. I can't stand this.
Mm-hmm.
How, now what does recovery look like?
It's, I mean, every person's going to be different.
Sure.
You know, because, you know, some people can smoke high potency weed their whole life and probably never have symptoms, you know, but there's reports out now that are showing a very large amount of people that are developing cannabinoid hyperemesis syndrome. You know, so those are the ones that you really need to watch out for. There's actually Facebook groups for people that doubt it, like, oh, that's not a thing. You know, go onto Facebook, look up the groups, and you will have people talking about their experiences. And actually on Angel Studios, if any of your viewers are on Angel Studios, my film is actually on there right now, getting voted on by the guild to potentially be, you know, hopefully on there. I don't know, you know, hopefully it'll make it.
Oh, that would be amazing. Oh, that'd be so cool.
But one of the people that was reviewing my film on there, turns out that he was a dispensary owner in Canada. Okay. And it's kind of a sad story because he was actually manufacturing vapes and carts and high potency products, edibles, things like that the kids are using. And his son kind of had the same path that my daughter had, started taking antidepressants because there's a huge population of people on those. This kid ended up killing himself, his kid. No. You know, so I was like, man, I really wish I would have met you, you know, before I wrote my book, because I would have loved to have his story, you know, but I'm like, look, you know, he said that. And then literally 5 seconds later, somebody else is arguing with this guy that, oh, that's not possible. I'm like, okay, this is the guy that made this stuff. You know what I mean? So, you know, somebody's like, I smoked this stuff for 20 years. You know, thank you for sharing this information. You know, they'll tell me thank you. And then somebody will come on there and argue with them that they don't know what they're talking about, you know? So it's like, we got to stop being in denial about the issue, because it is an issue, and the recovery's tough. You know, I think, you know, if I showed you a before and after picture of my daughter just from marijuana, right? 50 pounds in probably, I said 6 months, but I think it was more about 4 months.
Oh my gosh.
And it was all because she could not eat, because her body needed marijuana in her system, high potency marijuana, to be able to eat food and to be able to keep it down. You know, so she lost weight. And that went on a long time. I mean, it was a fight. It was a fight for her. She would be shaking, sweating, like she'd be just soaking and sweating. She'd be like, I don't know why I'm, you know, sweating. And, you know, so it was a struggle for her. So I'm definitely proud of her, you know, to be on here. And she actually wrote a few pages in my book, you know, to share her testimony. So it's really cool. Encouraging. It's encouraging for young people to hear from other young people, you know. So that's what we're trying to do here.
That's amazing. There's probably some people watching. There's definitely guests that I've had in the past, and my experience, not from marijuana, but I had an emergency surgery in 2013 that they had me on a medication afterwards that I couldn't eat, and so I lost 30 pounds in a month.
Yeah,
it's no joke. You like people are like, oh yeah, I could drop some weight. Yay! No. You don't want to drop it like this.
Yeah, that's not the fun way to do it.
No.
Yeah.
No. It didn't take much time to gain it back, but losing it like that is never fun. Like
that's right.
It's not the weight loss program you want to sign up for.
No, definitely not.
Sure.
Yeah. And thankfully she overcame it, you know, because you know, a lot of people you know, they carry that addiction on into life, you know, which is interesting. I've been, you know, like I said, it's so easy to find information. One of the things that I found recently is that 5% of smokers believed that when they were in school, they would stop smoking after high school. Only 5%, or 5% said they would stop smoking after high school.
Yeah.
I think I worded that bad. So 5% of people who smoke in high school said they would continue to smoke after high school.
Oh, there it is.
And
okay.
Yeah. So now the reality is 75% actually continue smoking.
Sure.
You know, but it's not addictive, right? It's not. I'm like, okay.
Right.
So, you know, but that's, you know, that's one stat. You know, another thing that I've researched is the FDA. It was very interesting because between 2019 to 2024, the FDA actually received 26.2 million applications for vapes and carts to be regulated. 26 million.
Ooh.
They only had time to review 1 million of them. And out of 1 million products, they only approved 30 products for sale. That's why that
I think that was mentioned in the video.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
That's
Yep.
unbelievable.
Yeah,
Oh
so it's
my
like, here's the massive red flag, and
Hello.
people are like, I don't want to get the COVID vaccine because, it's not safe, it's not regulated, not FDA regulated back in the day,
Yeah.
but we'll go buy these vapes up, you know what I mean? So it's just kind of funny to me. I kind of find it amusing,
I mean, that's crazy.
Yeah, I'm not, I'm not pro or against the vaccine or anything, but it's just the concept, and then, you look at, how easily available it is in the schools to get, I personally believe that most addictions start in school. I really believe that.
Books, they're comfortable, they're with their peers, it's cool, right?
Yep.
It's don't do it because of peer pressure, do it because it's cool,
Yep.
It's true. You get your friend offers you something, you don't think your friend's gonna want to hurt you, so you give it a shot,
Yep.
Yeah, it's true. Well, okay, so then last thing, I mean, we got about 5, 6, 7 minutes left. How can people advocate for these for this, like, we don't want people to, like, you should be able to stand up for yourself, be like, no, I don't want to deal with that, I don't want to mess with it, I'm out, like just say no, right? Like,
yep. Yeah. My experience working with kids, if I wish it could be that easy, just say no, but you've got to have like in-depth conversations. You got to get these kids to open up to you, because if parents really saw what I see in the school and working with young people back in recruiting and things like that, you ask a military recruiter, they're going to tell you everybody's high, and it's crazy. I was in 4 different areas in recruiting. My last one, I retired from Virginia. There was one point where I had to interview about 400 people to find about 20 people that qualified to join in the military. Okay. But out of that 400, I would say 300 of them had marijuana in their system.
What?
Yeah. And most of the time the parents don't know. I would literally have to tell their parents, sit outside, because I got to talk to little Johnny. Right. So when I'm talking to little Johnny, I'm like, look, dude, when was the last time you smoked? I don't ask them if. I said, when is the last time?
Right, yeah.
And I literally had a kid one time, a bag of weed fell out of his pocket right there in the recruiting. I smoke it today, so like, it's just concerning to me, because, lack of motivation.
Oh yeah, for sure.
People's careers are literally never started because of marijuana. And I don't care what anybody says, because I've lived it out. I was the guy that hired people, and then, seeing the kids and helping them, it directly affects their grades, so I think if you're a parent and your kid is struggling in school and it doesn't make sense to you, that could be a sign to look for,
Right. Yeah, no, it's true. And there's no reason not to have a conversation, right?
Yeah.
Like, I mean, even if you don't suspect anything, even if everything seems like it's the norm, right?
Yeah.
I mean, if everything's cool, then the conversation won't hurt. Your kid will probably be like, "What, are you crazy? No, I wouldn't touch that stuff." Or, but if it is something going on, I mean, you should be asking. You should
That's
be
right.
asking. You're the parent, for crying
Yep.
out loud. Who's the parent in the house here? So, yeah. Do you have to talk to a lot of parents about that too?
Oh, I've had them before. I've actually had to have a parent, because this was a kid that told me they wanted to stop. She had been smoking high-potency weed since she was in elementary school.
Oh my God.
Here she is, a junior in high school now. So how many years is that, right? So I had to I told her, I said, have you talked to your parents about this? No, they would kill me. Wow. So I told her, I said, I think you really need help, because I saw she was sick. She couldn't eat. She was throwing up at school and stuff. So I literally told her, I said, why don't I sit down with you and your mom and I will help you out. So I did. I made an appointment with mom, and we all sat down together, and, I brought out the information, and we ended up getting this girl some help, So,
that's beautiful.
Yep.
Sometimes that's what it takes, man. And I absolutely love that this is what you're doing and that you're getting the word out about this, because it's a big deal and it's important. And God, there's probably so many parents out there that have no clue.
Yeah. It's just marijuana, right?
And it's just marijuana, no big deal. So yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, we're about out of time, man. But I just want to say, like, if there are parents out there that are like realizing this now, like, if you didn't know, like, it's not your fault. Like, it's not like it's now, now let's get the help, right?
Right.
Don't, like, let's not dwell on it. Let's not beat each other up about it. Now we know where to get help. So reach out right here. This is the place right here. These are all the social media handles you'll need for that, and get the book and
read the book, because it has so much more detailed information in it.
Oh yeah.
I mean, it'll really help you out, open your eyes. I'd make your kids read it. So they need to read
exactly.
it too. Yep.
Oh, that's a beautiful thing, man. I love that. So we'll keep an eye on all that social media so you know when the book comes out, and watch for all the places that documentary will be, which E360 is one of them. So I'm not sure where this will land as far as airing, as far as like whether it'll be already aired by the time this airs or if it's coming up, but just watch E360 or reach out if you're curious, and we'll figure it out. So but yeah, man, Jason, I really appreciate you being on here and talking about all this. This is important stuff. This is a big deal, and I appreciate you taking the time, man.
Yes, sir. Yeah, and if you ever want me back, I'd love to come back. My daughter, she would probably willing to come on here and talk as well, and kind of tell her story. Because it's one thing to hear from me, but to hear from the kids themselves, they got a lot of stuff to talk about.
Oh man, that'd be incredible. Let's definitely, seriously, we're going to stay in touch about that, because I think that would be an incredible episode.
Yes, sir.
So stick around so we can chat for a minute, and we'll see you, and just see you soon. Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
All right. Wow. Okay. If that wasn't impactful, I don't know what would be, man. I can't wait. That's a really cool idea. I can't wait to have her on with her dad. That would be cool. That'd be so cool. So watch out for that. That'll be coming. Thank you for watching, everybody. This is so cool. And thank you for giving us such an amazing season. I mean, good Lord, we're already at the end of season 6. Like, it feels like it went by just like that. So I appreciate you. I'm so thankful for you. And if you are watching on YouTube, if you're watching on Facebook, E360, Roku, Apple TV, wherever you're watching, man, just bring your friends. Tell them what we're doing here, and you've helped us grow so much over the last 3 years, and I'm so thankful. So I appreciate each and every one of you, and thank you for being here. Join us for our next show, which will be the last day of March and the start of season 7. So Tuesday, March 31st will be our next show, and it's going to be an awesome show. I can't wait for you to meet the guest that's going to be on to kick off our 7th season. It's going to be great. And there you go. I think that's about it for today. So have an amazing day, and we will see you on the next episode. Thanks for being here.